Hello, this video includes a demo of Backendless API Engine, a new product we recently released and included into the Backendless platform. If you are new to Backendless API Engine, I recommend clicking the link on your screen right now to see an overview video of this fantastic product. The functionality of Backendless API Engine in Backendless console is available through the business logic icon, and it is selected by default, specifically the section called API Services and the selected subsection called Hosted for hosted services. The process of deploying a service into Backendless API Engine is very straightforward. All you need to do is to click the New Hosted Service button, select the jar file that includes your code, provide the service name, and click Save. For the demo purposes, I created a simple service called Hello World Service. And it is very basic, but in this demo I will also progress to something more complex so you can see a variety of different operations of the product. The actual service implements just one interface, which does not include any methods at all. It is a marker interface called iBackendless Service. You can see it right here. There are absolutely no methods. I configured my development environment to create a jar file with all the code that I would be deploying into Backendless. This jar file is already created right here. Hello World Service.jar. So what I'm going to do is to drag this jar file into Backendless console and give it a name. When I click Save, the jar file is uploaded into Backendless, where it is being analyzed for all available operations, and as a result of this, Backendless API Engine will automatically provide the REST API as well as the native client libraries for a variety of different client-side languages that will include the mechanism of invoking server-side operations located inside of my Hello World service. On the server side, though, Backendless provides the entire infrastructure for scaling out that service and making sure that there is always a server available, regardless of the traffic that will be coming in to handle operations on this service. So let me click Save, and as you can see, the download links for various service SDKs are immediately available. And there is also an API inspector that gives you REST level of access to the service operations. In fact, if I open it up in a larger pop-up by clicking this link, it shows that there is a say hello method that I can invoke right there from the console. It includes automatically application ID and secret key for my application, and it tells me that there is one argument which is a string. So since my name is Mark, I'm going to type in Mark and click Try It Out. At this point, Backendless console makes an API call into my service, which returns Hello Mark. And we can see the response headers and the response code. So here we have a browser-based client talking through Backendless to my Java service, which is running inside of Backendless. Services running in Backendless are automatically versioned. In fact, if I were to make a change in my service and add a new method, I'm going to call it getServerTime. The method is here. I'm going to compile, which will automatically build the new jar file. So now the jar file is ready. And if I click on the service name in Backendless console, it opens up a dialog box to update the service. And here I have the updated jar file. I'm going to drag it to the Browse button, and I'm going to change the version number to 1.1. If I click Save, notice that now there are two versions of the same service, 1.0 and 1.1. So if I select 1.1 and open it up, notice that there are two methods now. One additional thing that I'd like you to take a look at is the name of the method is getServerTime. Backendless automatically recognizes that this is going to be a GET request and then creates the route that is just called server time. There is no reason to repeat GET, since in REST, GET is going to be the name of the operation. If I were to invoke this operation, here it is. This is the server time. Now, this is version 1.1. At the same time, version 1.0 is available and is also invocable. So click here on Say Hello, and let's put Bob. So this is going to be an invocation of 1.0 version of the service. In fact, if you take a look at the request URL, notice that the version number is actually part of the URL. Now that you're more familiar with the basics of Backendless API Engine, let's try something a little bit more complex. For this, I put together a service called Shopping Cart Service. In fact, that service is included with Backendless, and you can try it out by yourself without writing or compiling any code. I will show you in a moment how to do this. But let's take a closer look at the methods in this service. The service represents a virtual shopping cart. You can add items to it, you can update quantity, you can retrieve the contents of the shopping cart, and in the end you can send a request to purchase everything in the shopping cart. Until you purchase something, the cart is maintained in cache. In fact, let's take a look at the add item method. The cart is identified by a name. In fact, all methods except string, which identify the cart name. And in add item, we pass in the cart name and the shopping item object. The cart is retrieved from cache using the getCart method. The implementation looks like this. Return Backendless cache get, and then we get the shopping cart. And then we just add items to the shopping cart. So all these methods manage the shopping cart and do whatever. The purchase method retrieves the shopping cart and then uses Backendless Persistence API to save an order object in a table dedicated for this. The project is configured to create a jar file just like you saw with the Hello World service. So what I'm going to do is to deploy that service into Backendless API Engine. I'm going to click New Hosted Service and select the jar file. However, when you do this, exactly the same shopping cart service, as I said, is included with Backendless. So in your case, to avoid any tasks related to packaging the jar file, you can simply click this checkbox and exactly the same service will be deployed in your case. However, in my configuration, I will use the jar file. So I have shopping cart service. I'm going to drag it right here and give it the name to that service. Click Save. And as you can see, the service is immediately analyzed, and now we can start invoking methods on that service using the API console or any native SDKs. To see exactly how to operate with the service, I recommend when you do it to start with the get instructions route and click it, and you will get this very nice and easy to understand set of instructions for running the service. And the way it works is you would use add item first, and then you can add more than one. You can see the contents of it, you can delete an item, and so on. So let me show you how that would work. I'm going to add an item first. This is the model schema for the arguments. I'm going to click it and fill in the blanks, so to speak. I'm going to call it my cart. And the product, let's say it's going to be iPhone. The price is $4.99. There is no object ID, so I'm going to delete it for now. And let's say it's going to be one iPhone. Click try it out. The method is invoked, and the response is 200, which means that item had been added to the shopping cart. So to see what we have inside of the shopping cart, we can call get items. So the cart name was my cart. And as you can see, these are the contents of my shopping cart. In fact, let's add another item, and let's say it's going to be Apple Watch. I'm not sure what the price is, but let's say it's $3.99, and we're going to get two of them. Try it out. So now we have added another product to the shopping cart. And to see what we have at this point in the shopping cart, I'm going back to the get items method and click try it out. So now we see that there is an array of 2 items in the shopping cart. To purchase it, there is a method called purchase, which accepts just the shopping cart name. So here it is now, everything has been purchased. In fact, if I close this pop-up and go to the data screen, notice that there is an order table with 2 shopping items in there. So that the service that we have running in API Engine has interacted with my Backendless application and persisted some data in it. I'd like to show you a few more features available with API Engine. So with the shopping cart service, or really any service, once you select it, you will see the permissions button. You click on it and it will navigate to the permissions schema where you can control what users or roles have or have not access to individual methods of your service. In this case, I'm going to select roles permission, and this drop-down right here displays either a specific method from your service or all methods if you were to make a change for all methods. The way it works, you can select an individual method. For instance, if I select purchase, then any configuration that I would be making here would be applied to the purchase method. But if I want to change access for a specific role for all methods, I can just select this all methods selector. So for instance, if I were to say that not authenticated user, in other words, a user that has not logged in, does not have access to any of the methods, I can just click on this check mark until it becomes this red X. And at this point, any user who is not logged in into Backendless application would not be able to invoke any of the methods. In fact, if I go back to my service now and open up the API inspector and try to get items and provide a card name, we see that the service responds with the message access denied, for the reason that I invoke this method as a not authenticated user. I'm authenticated as a developer with Backendless console, but when I make an invocation as a user, there is no user identity since I have never used Backendless login API. Using this mechanism, you can control any level of access to your methods in your service, either for roles or specific users. So if you go to users, and in this case, this is a brand new application. I don't have any users, but if I had any, I would be able to assign permissions for individual methods to your users. So that's how security with API Engine works. One additional thing I'd like to point out is this checkbox that says internal only. When it is selected, it means that the service cannot be consumed by Swagger tools outside of this application. But once you make it external, or just remove this checkbox, it gives you an external link, which is a Swagger URL that you can import and use in any other Swagger compatible tool. In fact, if I open up an API Inspector, you can see this URL right here. So if you were to copy it and paste it into any other Swagger code generator or any tool that provides some additional value for Swagger formatted documents, then you would be able to use it outside of Backendless API Engine. So I believe this is a very cool and convenient feature. Finally, the URLs for individual SDKs. Once you click, you get a zip file with a full-blown project that you can use in your application development, and in there it provides access to your service through the generated code. This is it. I hope you will find Backendless API Engine to be a very cool product and start using it in your applications. Thank you and happy coding.